So if you're here for the matinee of the Breakfast Club, prepare to be disappointed. Actually, that's not bad advice for the rest of you. Hi, I'm Chris Morris. I work for Living Social, and I work in our international group. And while Living Social is an unusual startup, we still have the same kinds of stuff. And Jeff Dagley, you stole my picture. Like any startup, you have to feed the business what it likes to eat. And since building actual spreadsheets can be a pain, a clever developer will figure out that you can toss some CSV views their way, and everyone will be happy, as long as you're in the US. But you start making international acquisitions, as you are wont to do, and then the French guys are screaming at you that their umlauts look like chewed croissant. So you do a little research and figure out you can slam a byte order mark in the front of your content, and everyone's happy as long as you're on Windows. But if you're on the Mac, you're still screwed. So a little more research and realize you're going to have to suck it up and do it right. Well, in my case, that meant a lot of CSV views. So after a little bit of work, we came up with some secret sauce and put it in a gem called Excelinator, and we're using this in production now. And if you've got controller code like this, you can throw a one-liner in, and now you've got a real spreadsheet from your CSV view. Unfortunately, a lot of our controller code looked like this, and I really wasn't a fan of writing 4 lines of code times 70, 80 controllers. So I thought, what would it take to go to the next step and not have to write any controller code? And I thought I would share my findings with you today. So given this report controller without any code and a simple HTML view, we're shifting from CSV to HTML. The dirty little secret of Excel is that if you feed it an HTML table, it'll automatically grok the table cells and convert them into cells. That's not a trick that works with a lot of alternate spreadsheet programs, though. But given this setup and a request for Excel, our goal here is to take these 2 routes, the top one being the default HTML format and then the XLS format, and make both of these work without any code. So before we hack, we have to do something that anybody would have to do and register the XLS MIME type. But now to the hacks. First thing we have to do is hack the MimeResponds collector. You might be asking yourself, what is the MimeResponds collector? It's that thing. It's the thing that's yielded from the respond to. So we hack this by going into its constructor and making sure the XLS MIME type is available all the time. And we can start by getting rid of those 4 lines of code. But we're not good yet. We next have to hack the lookup context. The lookup context is an internal Rails object that contains all of your criteria that it needs to find your view. If you've ever come across a template is missing exception, then most of the data that's in this exception comes from the lookup context. So we need to hack it so that when the XLS format is put into it, we can say, no, HTML is fine, we're good. That's technically all you have to do to make this work, but there are some side effects. One, you probably don't want your layouts shown in your spreadsheet, although technically Excel does a decent job of doing that if you want some ugly-looking headers and footers. But in this case, we don't, so we need to override the normalize options of the abstract controller layouts module, and doing that, undo the work of finding your layout by assigning nil to that if this is an XLS request. Our last hack is to tell Excel what encoding is going on. So we got to jack in this HTML encoding thing, and then we do the always recommended scanning of HTML with a regular expression, and prepend that with the encoding meta tag. This is also a convenient place for us to stick in our MIME type. We take these 2 modules, mix them into Action Controller Base, and we can go from this in our browser to this in our spreadsheet. And Tony Romo's a happy man. And this guy, and this guy, and these people, and that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and what? And this is an internationalization talk, so I have to do this. It's in Dutch, but I have no idea what it says. So the question is, can you do this? Should you do this? Well, one of the pros is that you learn a lot about how things work underneath the covers, and when you have a leaky abstraction, that might come in handy if you feel like doing some Rails plumbing. Con is it's kind of time-consuming, especially when there's some really good tutorials on how to do a rendering engine properly. You're also bringing on some risk by hacking this stuff into every request. And theoretically, hacking the internals of Rails can be a bad idea because you never know what's going to change underneath you, although in this case, I was able to go from 2.3 to 3 with a little bit of code, and then from then on, it's been free-wheeling fun. So that's it. The top link is Excelinator, the gem we use in production. The middle link is the code in this talk, and that's me on Twitter. Thanks.